Prison Fortress Centaur Prime loomed beneath a turbulent sky, its imposing silhouette standing firm against the swirling purple storm clouds. Commander Vax Tull stood rigidly on the observation deck, his clawed forearms clasped behind his back. His gaze was fixed on the descending transport ship, its hull gleaming under the flickering flashes of distant lightning. The vessel carried their most prized prisoner yet, General Amanda Stone of the Human Defense Force. A sneer curled his metallic lips, revealing rows of razor-sharp cybernetic teeth, a common augmentation among the Xenian elite. His segmented thoracic plates rattled slightly with anticipation. Quite the specimen we have captured, wouldn't you agree, Lieutenant Rixner? His voice carried the distinctive clicking undertone of his species, an eerie cadence that unsettled lesser beings. The lieutenant stood beside him, mandibles twitching with barely contained excitement. Indeed, Commander, the humans fought savagely at Proxima, but their primitive tactics were no match for our superior technology. Vax Tull exhaled a rasping chuckle, a sound reminiscent of grinding metal. To think they believed their little guerrilla maneuvers could outmatch our quantum-shielded battlecruisers. When General Stone led that desperate charge against our left flank, I knew the battle was already won. Below them, the transport ship touched down on landing pad 7, its engines whirring as they powered down. A harsh voice crackled through the fortress's comm system. Prisoner transport has arrived, Commander. Beginning disembarkation procedures. Vax Tull watched through the reinforced viewing window as the security team moved into position. The Xenian guards, towering 3 meters tall in their exo-armor, flanked the ramp in disciplined formation. In stark contrast, the human escort emerged from the vessel looking almost fragile. Look at them, Rixner, Vax Tull mused, his secondary arms making a dismissive gesture. So small, so weak. How did these creatures ever think they could challenge the Xenian Empire? The transport's heavy doors hissed open, and at last General Amanda Stone stepped onto the landing pad. She walked with her head held high despite the restraints binding her wrists. Her brown hair, streaked with gray, was matted from battle, and a fresh scar ran along her jawline. A souvenir from Proxima, but it was her eyes that caught Vax Tull's attention. Piercing green, unwavering, defiant. Vax Tull strode forward, towering over her. General Stone, he declared, his voice filled with cold amusement. Welcome to Centaur Prime, the most secure facility in the 7-star systems. I trust you will find your stay here both permanent and educational. Perhaps now you will finally understand the futility of resisting our empire. To his surprise, Stone smiled, a slow, almost predatory expression. Commander Vax Tull, she said, her voice carrying an almost mocking warmth. I've heard so much about you. Your reputation for running an efficient prison precedes you. His mandibles clicked in amusement. You flatter me, General, though I must admit I expected more resistance from someone with your notorious reputation. What good would resistance do? She replied smoothly. You've won this battle. I know when to accept defeat gracefully. There was something in her tone, something subtle that Vax Tull couldn't quite interpret, a calmness that set his instincts on edge. Dr. Yulian, the fortress's head medical officer, stepped forward with a scanner. Commander, initial readings show the prisoner is in good health, though slightly dehydrated. Shall we proceed with processing? Of course, Vax Tull said, waving a hand. Put her in cell block D, maximum security. Triple redundancies on all systems. He turned back to Stone, his cybernetic teeth gleaming. I must say, General, I am almost disappointed. The report spoke of your tactical brilliance, your unpredictability. Yet here you stand, captured in a straightforward battle. Stone's smile remained unwavering. Sometimes, Commander, she said, tilting her head slightly, The most brilliant tactics are the ones that appear the simplest. Vax Tull dismissed her cryptic remark with a flick of his upper right hand. Take her away. Ensure she understands the rules. The humans may be primitive, but even they can be taught their place. As the guards led Stone deeper into the fortress, Vax Tull returned to the observation deck. Below, the transport ship prepared for departure. Pride swelled in his chest, sending vibrations through his thoracic plates. General Amanda Stone, the terror of the Proxima sector, was now just another prisoner in his perfect facility. Lieutenant Rixner, he called over his shoulder. Send word to High Command. The human general is secured. The resistance will crumble without their leader. Rixner saluted. Right away, Commander. Vax Tull remained at the observation window, watching as the purple storms continued to churn. Let the humans try to break their general out. They would learn, as all species eventually did, that resistance against the Xenian Empire was pointless. No one had ever escaped Centaur Prime, and no one ever would. 3 weeks later, inside his command center, Commander Vax Tull frowned. He tapped a clawed hand against the console as he studied the latest efficiency reports. His lower right hand drummed out an agitated rhythm, while his upper arms manipulated the holographic displays. The numbers didn't make sense. Security Chief Cazell, he called, his voice sharp, explain these efficiency reports to me. How are the human work crews exceeding their quotas by 30%? Cazell's scales shifted nervously. Sir, they're just working. No complaints, no fights, no attempts at sabotage. General Stone has even begun organizing work rotations. Vax Tull's metallic teeth gleamed under the cold lighting. And this does not strike you as suspicious? Of course it does, Commander. I've tripled surveillance, ordered random searches, but we find nothing. They're simply being productive. Vax Tull rose from his station, his forearms tensing. Show me the security feed from cell block D. The holographic display shifted, revealing General Stone's cell. She sat cross-legged on her bunk, reading from an approved data pad, occasionally jotting something down on a writing surface. Nothing unusual, except, why does she smile like that? His mandibles twitched. Commander! Lieutenant Rixner entered hurriedly, mandibles clicking in agitation. Another malfunction in Section 7. The third, one this week. Vax Tull's upper arms crossed. Nature of the malfunction? Environmental controls shut down for 7 minutes. Backup systems engaged, but maintenance can't explain the cause. Just like the communication glitch 2 days ago. Just like the security scanner failure last week. Vax Tull narrowed his eyes. Dr. Yulian, he barked into the comms. Report to command immediately. I want a full psychological assessment of our human guests. Minutes later, the doctor arrived, adjusting his pristine white coat. Commander, I was just about to contact you. The latest behavioral analysis on the human prisoners shows fascinating patterns. Explain. Yulian hesitated. The other humans looked to General Stone for subtle cues. A nod, a gesture, even how she holds her utensils at meals. It's like a silent. A guard burst into the command center, breathing heavily. Commander! The quantum forge and manufacturing block, C, just activated itself and ran a 3-second power cycle. Vax Tull's four hands clenched. Impossible. His gaze snapped back to the security feed. Inside her cell, General Stone turned a page in her book and smiled. The perfect prison. Commander Vax Tull stood motionless at the observation window, his forearms clasped tightly behind his back. His gaze was locked on the scene below. General Amanda Stone pacing her cell, step by step, night after night, always at the same time. 7 steps forward. Pause. 7 steps back. Pause. He told himself it was nothing, just a beaten prisoner establishing a routine. But deep down, he knew better. Something was wrong. Beyond the towering fortress walls, thunder rolled across the storm-ravaged landscape of Centaur Prime. Or perhaps it wasn't thunder at all. Perhaps it was something else, some hidden machinery humming to life, cycling in precise 3-second intervals, too subtle to trip any alarms. Vax Tull's fingers flexed and unflexed as he watched Stone complete another set of steps. She looked up, and then she smiled. That same knowing, infuriating, calm smile. She resumed her pacing. 7 steps forward, 7 steps back, like a metronome, like a countdown. Vax Tull's mandibles clicked in irritation. A countdown to what? His private calm crackled. Lieutenant Rixner's voice came through, hesitant. Commander, night shift reports are all normal, except... Vax Tull's teeth ground together. Except what? Lieutenant, the humans have stopped humming, sir. All of them, at exactly the same time. A cold, metallic chill slithered down Vax Tull's spine. Increase surveillance. Report any anomalies, no matter how small. Yes, Commander. A brief pause. Then, and sir, maintenance found something odd in Section 4. A panel that's slightly warmer than it should be. Diagnostics show nothing wrong. But check it anyway. Vax Tull snapped. Check everything. He turned away from the observation window, but not before his gaze caught another oddity. Inside her cell, Stone was writing again. 7 lines, crossed with 7 lines, just like yesterday and the day before, just like the 7 steps she took every night. But there couldn't be a pattern. There couldn't be a plan. This was Centaur Prime, the most secure prison in the Zenian Empire. Wasn't it? Things start to disappear. The emergency chime jolted Vax Tull awake. Security Chief Castel stood in the doorway to his quarters, his scales pale with unease. Commander, Castel said, voice tense. The quarterly inventory reports show discrepancies. Vax Tull's 4 hands reached for his uniform, his thoracic plates shifting in irritation. Specifics, Chief. What exactly is missing? Castel hesitated. That's the problem, sir. It's small things. Maintenance tools. Cleaning supplies. Bits of electronics from recycling. Nothing vital. Nothing that would trigger alerts. But when we add it all up, Vax Tull's irritation flared into something sharper. Show me. In the security center, the holographic display shimmered to life, revealing hundreds of minor discrepancies spanning 6 months. Lieutenant Rixner entered, holding a data crystal. Commander, we've picked up something else. Vax Tull turned to face him. What now? Brief energy spikes appearing at random throughout the facility. Rixner said, mandibles clicking anxiously. Almost like transmissions, but they don't match any known pattern. Vax Tull's cybernetic teeth ground together. Source? That's just it, sir, Rixner said grimly. They seem to be coming from everywhere. And nowhere. Before Vax Tull could respond, a young guard rushed into the room, his face stricken with fear. Commander, 3 guards just requested transfers off Centaur Prime. Vax Tull's patience snapped. Explain. The guard swallowed. They say they keep hearing voices in empty corridors, seeing shadows move against the storm winds. A deep growl rumbled in Vax Tull's chest. Nonsense, he roared. This facility is impregnable. These are tricks, mind games, nothing more. The comm system crackled. Dr. Yulian's voice came through, urgent. Commander, you need to see this. Medical bay. Immediately, the pattern revealed. Vax Tull stormed into the medical bay. Dr. Yulian was waiting for him, pointing at a series of brain scans. These are from our guards, he said. Notice the stress patterns, the paranoia indicators? They are all showing signs of extreme psychological strain. Vax Tull's mandibles twitched, and Dr. Yulian pulled up another scan. This is General Stone's latest reading. Her neural activity was perfectly calm, too calm. It's as if... Dr. Yulian hesitated, as if she's exactly where she wants to be. Vax Tull's claws clenched. He marched straight to cell block D. Inside, General Stone was pacing again. 7 steps forward. Pause. 7 steps back. Pause. Each step deliberate. Meaningful. Vax Tull slammed his hand against the cell door. What are you planning? Stone stopped. She turned to face him, and she smiled. Planning, Commander, she said smoothly. I'm just adapting to your perfect prison. Her eyes gleamed. Though, I must say, your guards seem rather tense lately. Perhaps they're not sleeping well. Before Vax Tull could retort, a blaring alarm screamed through the facility. Commander! Security Chief Kastel's voice rang through the speakers. We found something. Vax Tull sprinted back to the command center. The screen displayed a marking scratched into the underside of a table in Processing Section 2. It was a countdown, but parts of it were missing. The last number, Kastel whispered, is 3. Vax Tull's mind raced. 3 what? Days? Hours? Unknown, sir. But that's not all. He tapped on the console, bringing up another display. Remember those missing supplies? Kastel said, voice trembling. We found microscopic traces of them woven throughout the prison's infrastructure, like a web, a hidden network. Vax Tull stared at the monitors, his forearms trembling. Every system looked normal, but it wasn't. Commander, Rixner shouted. The Quantum Forge just completed another 3-second cycle, but this time there was a power surge in Section 7. Exactly 3 seconds later, Vax Tull froze. Then another surge. 3 seconds after that. Then another. It was spreading. Lock down all systems. Vax Tull bellowed. Already done, sir. But Rixner turned, his mandibles clicking in terror. Sir, the facility isn't locking down. The lights flickered. Every door slammed shut. On every screen, in every section, a number began to count down. 3. Inside her cell, General Stone turned to the security camera. She leaned in and whispered, You built the perfect prison, Commander. Thank you for making our job so much easier. The countdown reached 0, and Centaur Prime belonged to the humans. The entire facility hummed with energy as 6 months of meticulously planned modifications activated all at once. On the external sensor displays, warning lights blazed and power readings surged beyond anything Vax Tull had ever seen. The prison systems, his perfect systems, were no longer his to command. Lieutenant Rixner pointed at the screens, mandibles twitching in sheer disbelief. Energy readings are off the scale, Commander. The whole facility, it's turning into some kind of a beacon, Vax Tull whispered, his metallic teeth clenching as realization hit him like a plasma blast. The prison wasn't just being weaponized. It was being turned into a transmission station. For what? A slow, mocking laugh echoed through the command center speakers. General Amanda Stone. For what, Commander? She purred. Surely you didn't think I was the only one captured on purpose. Vax Tull's thoracic plates rippled in unease. Every human prisoner in this facility, Stone continued, is a trained engineer, a scientist, a technical specialist. You gave us the perfect laboratory, the perfect testing ground, and, most importantly, the storm outside intensified. The lightning, once chaotic, now moved in precise, deliberate patterns. Vax Tull's secondary arms tensed. The external sensors were no longer just recording atmospheric disturbances. They were transforming them. Coherent energy pulses were being broadcast straight into deep space. The facility's automated voice cut through the tension. External quantum signatures detected. Multiple vessels emerging from hyperspace. Vax Tull froze. The sensor screens flooded with hundreds of contact signatures. Human ships, hundreds of them. He breathed. The battle at Proxima, you lost on purpose? Finally figured it out, did you? Stone's voice was filled with amusement. 6 months ago, we discovered that the only way to penetrate Xenian quantum shielding was to modulate our weapons to match their frequency, but we needed a working model, a real system to study. What better than a prison built with your most advanced protection systems? The fortress shuddered violently as the first human warships dropped out of hyperspace, their weapons already tuned to the exact frequencies needed to render Centaur Prime's defenses useless. Vax Tull's cybernetic hands clenched the control panel. "You didn't just study our security systems," he muttered, realization dawning. "You used our own prison to develop countermeasures against our entire military network. As I said, Commander, your prison is perfect, and perfect systems," Stone's voice darkened, "are the easiest to predict, to modify, to control." Outside, lightning strikes fell in eerie synchronization, each pulse amplifying the prison's massive transmission array. "You gave us everything we needed," Stone continued, her voice thick with satisfaction. "Thanks to you, we now have the means to liberate every human prisoner in Xenian space." Through the command center's armored windows, Vax Tull watched in horror as human warships entered perfect attack formations. Their weapons glowed with precisely calibrated energy frequencies, the very same frequencies the prison had been broadcasting for months. His perfect prison had become the key to destroying his empire's greatest defense, the battle for Centaur Prime. "General Stone," Vax Tull rasped, his voice barely audible over the alarms. "The 7 steps in your cell, the 3-second power cycles, the humming work songs, were they all necessary?" There was a pause. Then Stone's voice came through, carrying the weight of a triumphant predator. "Some of them were necessary, but mostly, we just wanted to watch you squirm." The first human warships opened fire. Xenian shields, designed to be impenetrable, collapsed in an instant. Vax Tull's command center shook as a Xenian dreadnought was obliterated in a single coordinated strike. A great tactician once said, "Commander," Stone mused, "the best victories are won in the mind before they are won in battle. The patterns kept you looking in the wrong direction while we did the real work, but watching you slowly lose your mind, trying to figure it out." She let out a chuckle. That was just a bonus. Through the reinforced windows, Vax Tull watched as his perfect fortress, the very symbol of Xenian dominance, was turned against its own people. Human warships danced through the battlefield, their weapons cutting through Xenian ships with merciless efficiency. Every weakness in the Xenian military exploited. Every tactic countered before it could even be executed. "You didn't just study us," Vax Tull whispered, horror settling deep in his core. "You understood us, and that's why we've already won." The fall of perfection. With a hiss of escaping air, the cell block doors slid open. Every human prisoner stepped into the corridors free, and at the very heart of it all, General Amanda Stone strolled into the command center. She was no longer a prisoner. She was a conqueror. Vax Tull stared at her. At the full Human Defense Force uniform she now wore, piece by piece smuggled into the prison over 6 months. Behind her, human prisoners, now revealed as elite operatives, took their places at the control stations, adjusting the repurposed Xenian technology as though they had always belonged there. Stone gestured casually toward the battle outside. "Your dedication to perfection, Commander, gave us exactly what we needed," she said, voice filled with something close to genuine admiration. "Triple redundancy, quantum shields, automated defenses. You built exactly what we needed, and you made it flawless." Vax Tull's hands trembled as he watched the monitors. Human ships were moving with terrifying precision. "The battle at Proxima was never about winning," Stone continued, stepping forward. "It was about getting captured by the right prison, because we needed more than just shield frequencies. We needed a complete working model of your entire defensive network." The command consoles erupted in sparks as Lieutenant Rixner's voice came through, panicked. "Commander, they're not just copying our systems. They're improving them. Stone's smile widened. Of course we are, Lieutenant. Humans don't merely adapt. We evolve. The fortress shook as the quantum forge reached full power. Across the battlefield, Xenian warships collapsed under the weight of their own perfection. The same technologies they had prided themselves on were now being turned against them with terrifying efficiency. Your Empire's greatest strength was its precision, Stone said, watching the battle with fierce pride. And the thing about perfection, Commander? She leaned in, voice a whisper. It never learns how to change. The last Xenian battleship erupted into flame, and the war for Centaur Prime was over. The final lesson. 3 days later, Commander Vax Tull stood in his former office, watching as human engineers dismantled the quantum forge. The perpetual storms of Centaur Prime had cleared for the first time in recorded history. Behind him, General Stone entered, holding a data crystal. "You're not taking me prisoner?" Vax Tull asked, genuinely surprised. "No," Stone replied. "You're more valuable free." She placed the crystal in his hand. "Tell your leaders, Commander. Tell them that the humans didn't win with overwhelming firepower. We won because we understood you better than you understood yourselves.